A nation is a living entity, full of consciousness. It is not something made up or fabricated. A living nation is always growing. It must grow. It must attain ever loftier heights. Our personality, our constitution is made up of three parts. We have three types of body: gross, subtle, and causal. In the same way, the nation has three bodies. According to our philosophy, it is not only the outward appearance, the gross body, that makes a complete man. All three bodies have to be taken into account. Only then can we get some understanding of him. As with a man, so with a nation. To think about our nation is first to think about our physical motherland, stretching from the Himalayas in the north to Kanyakumari in the south. Its boundaries are formed by the seas on the east and west. Ganga, Jamuna, Narmada, Krishna, Godavari flow here unceasingly. Here are ancient cities, tall and imposing temples, artistically designed palatial homes. Such is the part of this earth we call India. It is this picture, this figure that comes to us when we speak of our nation. This is the gross body of our nation. Bankim Chandra's song, Vande Mataram, describes this aspect very beautifully. 33 crores of people live on this land with their joys and sorrows, their good and bad desires. They are all part of its subtle body. Then there are aspects of the country which may undergo changes in the course of time, yet always remain in the body in seed state, as permanent as the atom. They are always present there, and being the origin, it is out of them that the future takes shape. This is the causal body of the nation. According to our scriptures, when we think of a man, we think not only of his present condition, but also of his past and future. The same is true of a country when we speak of the rivers, mountains, and cities of our country. We have in mind not only the present, not at all. What we speak of is a history of 5,000 years. When we speak of Delhi and Agra, does not the image of Delhi, as it was during Emperor Akbar's time, stand before your mind's eye? That is why, in speaking of the nation, we should recall the great achievements of our ancestors. Then Shivaji, Ashoka, and Akbar at once become an integral part of our nationhood. So too the ancient rishis. This is taken for granted. If we look at Japan, we see that the Japanese people never forget their ancestors who offered their lives as a sacrifice for the sake of their country. This sense of sacrifice is always present in the Japanese blood. When a warrior fights for his country, he recalls those sacrifices. This is something we must learn from Japan. We must learn from the Japanese how to honor our ancestors and evoke the spirit of nationalism by remembering them. Whatever you do today, you are doing not for your own sake, but to pay the debt you owe to them. This you must never forget. Not only your ancestors, the generations to come are also an organic part of your nation. When we envision an Indian nation, it should be along these lines. We should not be carried away by Western advances or cowed by their achievements. What we need is a wide, engaging vision of our nation and of nationalism. Our action must match that vision, and as a result, our nation will produce great philosophers, statesmen, warriors, and commanders. I don't say this will happen today, but surely it will happen in the future. What is nationalism? Nationalism is not a mere political program. Nationalism is a religion that has come from God. Nationalism is a creed which you shall have to live. Let no man dare to call himself a nationalist if he does so merely with a sort of intellectual pride, thinking that he is more patriotic, thinking that he is something higher than those who do not call themselves by that name. If you are going to be a nationalist, if you are going to assent to this religion of nationalism, you must do it in the religious spirit. You must remember that you are the instrument of God for the salvation of your own country. You must live as the instruments of God. Nationalism survives in the strength of God, and it is not possible to crush it, whatever weapons are brought against it. Nationalism is immortal. Nationalism cannot die because it is no human thing. It is God who is working. Have you realized that you are merely the instruments of God, that your bodies are not your own? You are merely instruments of God, for the work of the Almighty. Have you realized that? If you have realized that, then you are truly nationalists. Then alone will you be able to restore this great nation. It has been realized clearly by some, more clearly by others. But it has been realized, and you on this side of the country must also realize it. Then there will be a blessing on our work, and this great nation will rise again and become once more what it was in the days of its spiritual greatness. You are the instruments of God to save the light, to save the spirit of India.